Hello, John Perry again. Wanted to touch base with an idea that I came up with in helping everybody try to leverage the Home Partners of America system with working with not only for sale by owners, but also houses that they're thinking about listing. So I wanted to talk about those two aspects here. So the first one that I wanted to touch on was the Home Partners of America for a for sale by owner. So let's say that you are working the for sale by owner market and you wanted to leverage getting in front of that for sale by owner and doing it in a different way than the rest of the competition. So let's say that you make that phone call, and I think the intro to that phone call for the for sale by owner should be, Mr. and Mrs. For Sale by Owner, the only thing I really need to know from you is, are you willing to work with a buyer's agent and pay a buyer agent commission? Because if you are, then I'd like to present to you an opportunity where I'm not going to be like the other agents. I'll never ask you to stop being a for sale by owner. I'll let you continue to be a for sale by owner, but I'm going to give you an additional way to sell your property. If that's something that sounds of interest to you, then I'd need about 15 minutes to come to your house, take a look at it, see if it's going to qualify and fit the requirements for this process. And if so, then I'll be able to share with you some interesting avenues in which we can try to get your house sold. So let's pretend that the for sale by owner said yes, and now I'm at the house. You're going to take with you this one-page flyer that is a stay a for sale by owner and give yourself more options to sell. So what this does is there's two things that we can do with a for sale by owner. We can hold open houses, make sure you have the proper paperwork filled out to do the open house and have the permission signed. But the second thing is I'm going to ask that for sale by owner to allow me to list the property for lease while they're a for sale by owner. So I'm going to put the house in the multi-list for lease while they're trying to be a for sale by owner. And the only reason I want to do that is because I want to attract a potential renter. Because if I'm able to attract that potential renter, then I'm able to submit that renter to Home Partners of America. And if they're approved, then Home Partners of America is going to generate a cash offer that'll close in about 35 days. Is negotiable. You could close longer, but close in about 35 days with that for sale by owner and get the house sold on a cash property that doesn't also carry an appraisal with it as well. So it's just a way to get in front of them. And the way that this lays out is, look, if you're willing to work with that buyer's agent and pay a commission, great. Sign the lease listing and remain as a for sale by owner as long as you want to. Be open to us holding open houses to attract more buyers and or renters to the property. We will never ask them to become a landlord because we're just trying to attract the renters. And if for some reason we get that renter that wants to buy the house, or live in the house, prior to them finding somebody that wants to buy it, then Home Partners make an offer. But it is an offer. They don't ever have to accept that offer if it's not acceptable to them, and we move on. The last thing is, if they find a buyer for their property as a for sale by owner before we can find a tenant, then we remove the lease listing and move on and wish them the best of luck. So I think it's just a great way to leverage the program to do something that nobody else is doing and trying to attract those renters, because otherwise we're not going to find the renters because they don't even know the property is an option to be rented. The second thing that I think that we could be doing is every single house that we're going to put on the market that has already agreed to list their house for sale with us, I would propose that you should also do a lease listing at the same exact time as the time you do your regular listing for the same exact concept, which is I want to expose that listing to the maximum number of people potentially wanting to live in that house, some of which may be renters, because in our market at least, there's not a lot of single family home rentals. So if we can give them a new option in a different way to be able to attract that renter to themselves as the listing agent, then it's also a great business strategy because you're going to double up on the deal. You're going to have dual agency in representing the seller and the buyer on a cash deal. Now, the one caveat to that is, what happens if I list the house for lease and I have the listing and another agency brings a potential renter to us? That problem is easy to solve because typically we're paying a 1.5 months rent to the other agency for a finder's fee on a rental listing. So if the rent were $2,400 a month, you'd be offering $1,200 as the finder's fee. That remains the same. What we do is we do a broker-to-broker referral fee for the $1,200, and because we have the relationship with the investor, the potential tenant works through us to apply to Home Partners of America, thus putting themselves in a position where they can become the tenant of that property, and Home Partners will make the offer and buy the property. In which case, we're going to make the remainder of that commission on the buyer agency side, even though we paid out a flat $1,200. But in most cases, if you're talking about a $2,400 monthly rent, that's probably around a $300,000 property. So you're looking at a $9,000 gross commission at 3%. Even if we give away $1,200 on a referral fee, we're still getting the vast majority of that buyer agency commission at $7,800, and thus putting more money in your pocket. So if you have any questions or concerns or thoughts about this, definitely let me know. I'm going to circulate the flyer as well that describes the program. So I hope you guys will consider using this and growing your businesses by doing something that nobody else in the marketplace is even thinking about doing. Thanks so much.